Lord, you're so punk.
Does that term still apply to you guys, though?
I don't think we've ever been labeled as punk rock in the first place. We just played in the underground circuit. We like punk rock more than any other style of music, so, yeah, we're punk rock.
Well, I think everybody was sort of into punk rock before the band really evolved anyway.
We were a band.
So it's definitely everyone was sort of bred on the punk thing. I'm sure you dislike labels, but then where do you see that your music fits in?
In rock and roll.
I think, what did they call it before? The sub pop sound.
Oh, the sub pop sound.
That's right.
Yeah, grunge.
Seattle.
I can't decide.
Seattle sub pop grunge. What's your relationship now with Sub Pop?
We're pretty much off the label. We're on DTC. DTC does all the work.
There was a little bit of bad blood at first, though, wasn't there, when you guys were leaving?
Yeah, it was. I think a lot of that was lack of communication and assumptions, but now we put all that behind us now and we just get along. Because there's no reason to bear a grudge, right? Forgive and forget, huh, brother?
Being on a bigger label, there must be meetings about marketing and stuff like that. Do you guys have any say about that stuff, or is it just something you just leave up to the label? We have final say, but we don't go to the meetings.
Yeah, they're really boring.
You can imagine, it's like going back to school, you know?
Yeah,
we sit that out.
And those fluorescent lights hurt my eyes.
So how have things changed for you guys now, being on a bigger label? We get to be on MuchMusic.
Yeah.
You could have been on MuchMusic before if you
Really?
had shown up for the interview.
We're never late now. We're always on time.
Go.
We're prompt.
But Nirvana is signed with Geffen, but you still have your logo on the album.
That is the byproduct of contractual negotiations that we made in order to be able to let them out of their contract with Sub Pop. And
You're making money out of that, certainly.
a fraction, yeah, a little bit.
You're making money with their first album is started to sell also.
Yes, Bleach has sold almost 500,000 copies in North America, which for an indie label is pretty great.
We cannot not talk about that first major label deal. Does it change anything?
Yeah, it gives you more freedom because you have more money to, waste.
Yeah. I bought a kick drum pedal today, which I never would have been able to do.
What do you say about bands like Mudhoney that come from Seattle but that don't want to be on a major label?
Well, fine, that's their prerogative,
Each their own.
It'd be a better place if we all subscribed to that philosophy, huh? You know, Bleach was recorded in December of 1988, and now it is pushing December 1991, so now we even have Nevermind behind us, and we're blazing new, exciting frontiers.
I remember reading something yesterday where they called Smells Like Teen Spirit the anthem of the 90s.
I was just the drummer, man. It's like, I just played the drums, It was a fun song to play the drums to. So, hey, man, if everybody freaked out on it, thanks. But it was, to me, it was just this. So,
Our idea was to have a pep assembly scene that's gone bad, It's gone bad.
Anything you've experienced before?
No, it's just more or less like a fantasy of ours for that to happen in high school while we're sitting at a pep assembly board off our skulls, So after a while we resorted to skipping the pep assemblies, not going to them at all. But I don't know. It's just an idea. Use the youth theme, you know. Our parents are in control of the entertainment industry, and there's no generation gap anymore because the kids and the parents like the same music, and it's really frightening to us. So maybe that's what we tried to incorporate into the video.
Here in Seattle, just everybody started moving here. It became the alternative mecca, and it's such a liberal, independent kind of city that I think people found some romantic whatever with it. It's rainy and it's pretty, but most of the time it's just sort of gray and rainy, and you stay inside. And I remember before I moved here, I always read these interviews with bands that said, I think the reason why there's so many good bands is that you can't really do anything outside because it rains so much. Everyone's stuck in the basement and there's nothing better to do than start a band. And when I first read that, I thought, that's stupid. It's just a lot of good bands, but I think it might be true. So.
People put too much emphasis on scenes. I mean, just because there happens to be a town with a few really good bands in it, I mean, big deal. It's happened all over the place, in Minneapolis and LA and New York, all over the place, so it's really no big deal. I don't understand this, like, community patriotism that everyone is boasting about in Seattle, because, like, they're claiming that they finally put Seattle on the map, you know, but, like, what map?
Now the
Who
rents
cares?
are going up.
Yeah, everyone's moving to Seattle. I mean, we had Jimi Hendrix. Heck, what more do we want?
What's the message that Nirvana sends to younger people?
Oh, there's really no message. Not that I can say. I can't speak for Kurt or Dave, you know, but I think the message is just kind of be yourself and have a good sense of humor. You know, we always try to convey a sense of humor across because it is, after all, only entertainment, you know what I mean? And to be ensnarled in the music industry, the music business, to take things so seriously, it's just like, well, jeepers creepers, you know, we're just a luxury. I mean, we eat every day, we can buy appliances and cars, you know, and to take something like that so seriously, it's just, I couldn't imagine it.
It's just kind of stupid because we're just three sort of normal people, relatively normal, I suppose, who just play in a band, and people have sort of turned it into, you know, the godfathers of grunge or whatever, and it's just music. It's just a band. It's no big deal to us, I don't suppose. To a lot of other people, it's flattering that people find it something special, but to us it's just really the same as it's always been. Or anything, but the way we pronounce the name of the band is Nirvana. It's not Nirvana, so I don't know if it's lost in the translation or what, but it's Nirvana. I think the fact that we never intended to anything like this, you know, we didn't expect anything, and I think that if you got your heart set on being a rock star and you become a rock star, you're a great rock star. You know, you live in a mansion and you marry a model and you're an asshole, you know, and in a lot of cases that's true. If you don't really want to, you know, be in some huge band and things get really crazy, I mean, things get crazy, but it's not really that big of a deal. All it is that there's a lot of attention put on you, and I think in a lot of people's cases it just sort of blows up your head and it makes you feel, you know, like you're really great, and you don't take it as flattering, you just sort of expect that. And so I think the three of us still think it's pretty strange that people find us, you know, pretty special.
I've just noticed that people expect more of a thematic
angle with our music. You know, they always want to read into it. And before I was just using pieces of poetry and just garbage, you know, just stuff that just would spew out of me at the time. And a lot of times when I write lyrics, it's just at the last second because I'm really lazy. So, and then I find myself having to come up with explanations for it. Hey, wait, I'm gonna complain.
It's not that I want to sell records, is I want people to hear the record, you know, because I really think that we have something to offer musically, and I think that the way we approach this album is just kind of like with an edge and kind of like really aggression, and I think it is a really, In Utero really is to the left of Nevermind on the musical scale, and I think with the exposure we have right now, if we take advantage of it, you know, we can just kind of mix things up a little bit. And that's just me speaking idealistically. I mean, who knows what the reality is, you know?
Because you've achieved so much success, I mean, so quickly, so surprisingly. You've had a baby, you're married. What excites you now?
My baby, my marriage. I don't know. I still like playing too. I mean, Chris and Dave and I haven't changed at all. I mean, believe it or not, we get along just as well as we ever did. You know, we're just as the same passive-aggressive people as we used to be. You know, we never fight. And when we're pissed off at each other, we just hold it under our breath and have respect for one another in that way. You know, it's just, it's easier to work that way. You know, because we have a mission, I guess. Either I've accepted it or I've gone beyond insane to where I can deal with it emotionally. I really don't care. I know that I'm too stubborn to allow myself to ever compromise their music or, you know, get so wrapped up in it and involved to where it's going to, you know, turn us into big rock stars. I mean, I just don't feel like that. Everyone else accuses us of it, but, you know, we're not as popular as everyone thinks, or we're not as rich as everyone thinks, you know? It's just, we've always had a good sense of humor. I don't think that's been translated very well, you know, but we'd rather laugh about it. Ha ha ha.
Shocking news today. Kurt Cobain, lead singer of Seattle's Nirvana, has taken his own life. Police have yet to release details of a suicide note found next to Cobain's body.
The electrician was going to do some repair work. He went up to above the garage where there's a small cottage above the garage, and when he looked inside, he saw a man lying on the floor. It was obvious this man is dead from a shotgun wound to the head. Now, there was a suicide note left inside the house, and he quickly left and called the police. Our officers had to break into the door because it was locked. It was obvious this person was dead at the scene here. Our detectives are looking over at the scene at the note at this time.
This is attending the Kurt Cobain Memorial at Seattle Center. Some 10,000 people in this area. It used to be the site of the World's Fair, right underneath the Space Needle. And they've come here out of grief and frustration, some of them out of anger at being abandoned by one of their heroes. But everybody came for one reason, to pay their respects to Kurt Cobain. And yes, there were eulogies. Yes, there were people from all walks of life. Whole families were here. But it wasn't until a tape was played from Courtney Love that literally the place and time stood still.
I don't really think it takes away his dignity to read this, considering that it's addressed to most of you. He's such an asshole. I want you all to say asshole really loud. I haven't felt the excitement of listening to as well as creating music, along with really writing something for too many years now. I feel guilty beyond words about these things. On our last 3 tours, I've had a much better appreciation of all the people I've known personally and as fans of our music, but I still can't get out the frustration, the guilt, and the empathy I have for everybody. There's good in all of us, and I simply love people too much. So why didn't you just fucking stay? So much that it makes me feel too fucking sad. Thank you all from the pit of my burning, nauseous stomach for your letters and concern during the last years. I'm too much of an erratic, moody person, and I don't have the passion anymore. And so remember, and don't remember this because this is a fucking lie. It's better to burn out than to fade away. God, you asshole. Peace, love, empathy, Kurt Cobain.
I'll never forget where I was or what I was doing when I first heard "Here We Are Now, Entertain Us." And I'm sorry that he didn't want to stay with us.
Kurt Cobain is an asshole. He's a selfish coward who took his own life and hurt thousands of fans out there. For all those fans who think what he did was cool, you're terribly wrong. He's a coward. He couldn't deal with his own problems. You have left behind a precious being by the name of Frances Bean. She will never grow up without a father. She will now grow up without a father because of your selfish act of committing suicide. And for that I am angry at you. But I know in time she will grow to forgive you, and so will we all. You have meant something special to us, and we will never forget that the wonderful music you have left behind for us to remember you by.
It's really sad to think that young, impressionable kids are going to hero worship this guy.
Almost every review I remember reading of the leaked demos, every critic was drawing correlations between the lyrics from the Foo Fighters album, or what would become the Foo Fighters record.
Right.
Correlation between the lyrics and Kurt's passing.
Right.
And I know most of the songs were done in '91. Was there an element of frustration maybe?
Well, I mean, yeah, because that was one of the reasons why we did the Rolling Stone interview in the first place, because we didn't really want to do interviews. And so, like I said, we waited until after the first tour, and all these reviews were being written, and they were getting the lyrics wrong. I didn't print the lyrics, because most of them are just so stupid. They're totally inane, just dumb. They mean nothing at all. Some of them mean something, but I mean, a lot of it was just so old. I mean, it was like some were 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. So I mean, they don't really mean anything. Some of them do, but yeah, it was frustrating.
Does it hurt to talk about it at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think it would? Then why would you even ask?
Passing.
Yeah.
Maybe enough time has passed.
Well, no, I don't know. I don't talk about it to people I don't really know. So there's got to be a line drawn between your personal life and this, this is all fun, being in a rock band and being on TV, it's cool and everything, but it's like going to the circus. I don't take it so seriously that I've got a bleeding heart for, it's pop music.
Well, I think the message I'd like to get out to kids, if you are a little bit worried about how you're feeling or what kind of depression that you're experiencing, check it out. Give us a call at Kids Help Phone and we'll talk about what it is that you're feeling and what you're going through and help you maybe get a better sense of that and maybe refer you on if that's what you need.